Champ now. Yes, I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, man, one time during my career, I was on a Formula 1 tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all of that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, controversy and corruption. Controversy and corruption has the family today. Tuesday afternoon, still early in this big week of boxing history. We're going to talk about exactly what the title says today, some controversy and corruption in boxing. We got a little talk about corruption to start the show, and then we're going to talk about some controversial fights in boxing history. Then we're going to talk about some controversial fighters, controversial boxers. And then we're going to look at some of the worst judging decisions of all time in boxing history. Then we're going to look at some of the worst referees of all time in boxing history. Then we're going to look at a couple of the worst judges in boxing history. And then we're going to talk about the sanctioning bodies and the part they play in the corruption, sanctioning bodies, promotions. All that today on Cat Sports, the Boxtorian, bringing you all of that boxing history. But how's everybody today? It's Tuesday. Got a big week straight ahead of us of boxing history. Hope everybody enjoyed the trilogy yesterday. It was Tony Zare, Rocky Graciano back 46, 47, 48. First two fights of that trilogy were fights of the year. Okay? So yeah. But we got a lot to get to today, so let's get started. As we always start out with our fight of the day. So without further ado, today's fight of the day. Okay, today's fight of the day is Riddick Bowe versus Andrew Golota, 1. July 11th, 1996. A slugfest and a riot at Madison Square Garden. A slugfest and a riot at Madison Square Garden. Bowe versus Golota, 1. Fight of the day, July 11th, 1996. Salute Mike Grimm in the building. Okay, Mike, how are you today? Controversy and corruption. We're going to talk about corrupt judges, controversial fighters, controversial fights, controversial or corrupt referees. I don't think those judging decisions are that bad when we get them. I think it's corruption. And the same thing with the referees. Everybody has their price, you know. So let's get into the fight of the day first. Bowe versus Golota. All right. A slugfest and a riot at Madison Square Garden in this one. Golota gets 11 stitches in his head, smashed open with a two-way radio. His trainer, 74-year-old Lou Duva, leaves the ring on a stretcher and is taken to a hospital. More than 20 others were injured, 14 arrested. Mayor Rudy Giuliani sequestered for his own safety in Golota's dressing room. Riddick Bowe with an ice pack between his legs. A riot in the garden, and it's ugly all around. Yeah, very ugly situation. 6 years earlier, Andrew Golota comes to the United States from Poland, fleeing prosecution for charges stemming from a bar brawl. Now, though he's racked up over 100 wins as an amateur and won the bronze medal in the 1988 Seoul Olympics, Golota has no intention of becoming a professional boxer. He gets married, moves to Chicago, plans to work as a truck driver. Now, raised in the Warsaw ghetto, Golota grew up hard, tough, a street fighter. This is what he knows, and it calls to him. Eventually, he's drawn back into the ring and turns pro in 1992. He wins all 8 of his fights that year, 7 by knockout, okay? 8 fights his first year, 7 of them by knockout. So off to a great start. Yeah, in the Bowe fight, to Bowe's surprise, Golota gave Bowe plenty of trouble in that fight. Yeah, Bowe kind of took him lightly. Not kind of, he took him lightly. Okay, so Golota had 8 fights, 92 his first year. He turned pro and won all 8, 7 of them by knockout. Now he continues on like this, mowing down opponents. A beast in the ring. Great jab, brutal power. Despite his unbeaten record, He doesn't gain significant attention until his fight with Samson Bota in 1995. Now, he wins the fight by TKO in the 5th round after knocking his opponent down 5 times. But the fight also shows Golotto's reckless nature. After taking a series of hard shots, in desperation, he resorts to biting Bota on the neck. He's later heard saying to his trainer between rounds, "I had to bite the MF." Okay? Said he had to bite him, just couldn't resist it. Couldn't resist biting him. A year later, against Donnell Nicholson, a frustrated Golotto delivers one of the nastiest intentional headbutts in the history of the sport. Now, he goes on to win the fight despite the blatant foul, stopping Nicholson in the 8th round. With a 28-0 record that includes 24 knockouts, Golotto is becoming recognized, but perhaps as much for his viciousness as his boxing skill. As much for his headbutts, low blows, dirty fighting, as for his skill in the ring. Okay? Meanwhile, Riddick Bowe has just won a rubber match against Evander Holyfield by 8th round knockout. Bowe is the top heavyweight in the world at that time, loving the lifestyle, the fame, and all that comes with it. Bowe is a powerful fighter, huge, strong, talented, but he lacks dedication. His weight fluctuates, something he has struggled with for years. He prefers traveling the country in his promotional Bowe bus to working out, hitting barbecue joints rather than the gym. Yeah, Bowe had been having problems with his weight and training for years, okay? It is Golotto clearly going low there. Golotto just couldn't resist aiming for Bowe's crown jewels. Just couldn't, like he told his trainer, he had to hit the MF low in the other fight, okay? When the fight against Golotto is proposed, Bowe snaps it up, viewing the big pole as an easy payday. Bum he doesn't need to train for, right? So Golotto was a bum he doesn't need to train for. Golotto himself is hungry, pegged as a 12-1 underdog coming into that fight against Bowe. Determined to show Riddick Bowe and the rest of the boxing world that he is not to be taken lightly. Yeah, 12-1 underdog. Wow. But he came in wanting to prove he shouldn't be taken lightly like that. Now, there's a charged atmosphere in Madison Square Garden the night of Bowe versus Golotto. The former champion's hometown supporters out in big numbers. Meanwhile, Golotto, the first Polish boxer to reach this level in the heavyweight division, also draws many fans. There's tension in the crowd even before the first bell. Lines drawn, both racial and nationalistic. Wanting to keep things civil and aware of Golotto's penchant for dirty fighting, referee Wayne Kelly goes to the underdog in his dressing room before the fight to talk to him. And Golotto tells the referee, "I do what I have to do to win." After the referee went and had a talk with him before the fight, Golotto told the referee, "I do what I have to do to win." Wow. Okay. There's him putting a big jab on Bowe during the course of the fight. Okay, so he told the referee, "I do what I have to do to win." Now, Riddick Bowe enters the ring at a career high, 252 pounds, and he looks slow. His defense terrible. From the outset, Golotto is attacking, getting off first, scoring with the jab, and outworking Big Daddy. Bowe steadily slips behind on his cards. It's Golotto's fight all the way. Golotto looks comfortable, belongs there. which is what makes his self-destruction so frustrating to watch. Yeah, he was clearly winning the fight. The fight was his for the taking. That's why what he did with the fouls was just crazy. Had the fight won at that point. Now, Gulati is winning the fight, controlling Bo, and yet he chooses to slam shots below the belt repeatedly. He's warned by Kelly, the referee, 3 times for low blows before being docked. His mentality, that do what you got to do mindset that makes him want to foul? Or is it a desire to hurt his cocky opponent, to punish him, to teach him a lesson? Either way, Gulati ends up being docked another 2 points for low blows before referee Wayne Kelly tells him that if he hits Bo with one more shot below south of the border, he'll be hitting the showers next. The referee told him one more low blow, and that's it. I'm disqualifying you. But like Gulati said, he does what he does to win, and he went south of the border again. There's Bo, got him good this time. This time Bo went down from yet another low blow. Okay? And like I said, Gulati was clearly winning the fight big. But the referee told him one more low blow, that's it. I'm disqualifying you. Inexplicably, in the 7th round, while ahead handily on the scorecards and almost assured of the win, Gulati delivers yet another shot south of the border on Bo. A hard left uppercut. That's that shot that caused that picture right there. Bo falls to the canvas in sections, grimacing, his gloves between his legs. And like the referee said, Gulati is disqualified. Okay? Then all hell broke loose. Gulati was disqualified. Madison Square Garden erupts as Bo's handlers charge across the ring. A member of Bo's security staff, Jason Harris, breaks a 2-way radio over Gulati's head. Lou Duva grabs his chest and hits the mat, his heart giving out on him. And Lou Duva went to the hospital, left the ring on a stretcher, straight to the hospital. His heart gave out on him. The ring is stormed from all sides. The crowd, angered at the non-result of the fight, the empty payoff, start climbing over the ropes. And the ones remaining in the stands direct their frustrations at each other. It's madness in every direction. Madness in the ring, they fighting out in the audience, just madness. There's a shot of it right there. Gulati is fighting, that's part of the guy that broke the 2-way radio over his head, right? Just madness. And the melee begins. Viewers at home hear Big George Foreman providing commentary for HBO, calmly reasoning with rioters. Don't do it, son. Don't do that. I know you want to. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Big George was commentating, trying to be the peacemaker, but it wasn't working. Wasn't nobody listening to Big George. Things got way out of hand. Long gone. Wow. Everyone's throwing punches now. Kicks too. It's all emotion. The animal instinct that motivates the boxer, but which is reined in by the rules of the sport, is now let loose throughout the entire arena, wreaking havoc, possessing the crowd, waves of sick, brutal energy shooting off. It takes the police half an hour to get things back under control. Some go to jail, some go to the hospital. But there remains that feeling of unfinished business, of unfulfilled expectation. And so they actually had a rematch take place on December 14th of the same year. Now that was crazy. I didn't think they would ever let them two get back in the ring again, but they had a rematch later that year, December. Okay? And Gulati is once again disqualified for, guess what? low blows, madness. They shouldn't even put them back in there together. Galata started going low again, early and often, got disqualified again. Now, after this, in the sport of boxing, nothing good comes to either man. The two fights marked him, shaped him up, and they never regained the momentum they had coming into that first fight. It is the second fight. Yeah, Bo came right in there early going south of the border. Look at that. Wow. That's almost too low, where he didn't even hit his target, but he got it. In the rematch, Galata again loses by disqualification for low blows. In his next fight after the rematch, Galata is knocked out in less than 2 minutes by Lennox Lewis. Naturally, he isn't offered any significant fights for a while, and when he is, versus Michael Grant in 1999, he is stopped once again. He later loses to Mike Tyson, John Ruiz, and Lamar Brewster, and spirals downward into obscurity. Now, Bo, listen to Bo. He was even worse. Bo goes out in a somewhat more spectacular and saddening fashion. After the second fight with Galata, he quits the sport of boxing to join the Marine Corps, only to drop out after just 3 days. Upon returning to civilian life, Bo's accused of beating his sister. He then kidnaps his wife and children at knife point and tries to take them to Maryland. He's arrested again in 2001, domestic dispute with the wife again. It's speculated that all these bizarre actions may be attributed to brain damage resulting from the punishment he received in the ring. It's all badness, darkness. July 11th, 1996, the night Bo and Galata will always be remembered for, and the beginning of the end for both of them. Yep, there you have the fight of the day, Riddick Bowe and Andrew Galata. July 11th, 1996 was the beginning of the end for both of them. Yep, and neither never recovered. Bo went to jail. First, he joined the Marine Corps for 3 days, and then he went to jail. He joined the Marines for 3 days. Wow. Okay. So first, controversy and corruption today. First, we're going to talk about first we're going to do a little talk on the sanctioning bodies, and we're going to talk about it a lot more later. Yeah, first we're going to talk about those for corrupt organizations. Okay, excuse me for 1 second. That's first. Great show today. Okay, let's talk about these sanctioning bodies briefly. In time permitting, at the end, we're going to go deep on them, on their corruption and all that sort of thing. Okay. So, corruption in boxing is a widespread and significant issue in the sport, stemming largely from the sport's fragmented structure with multiple competing sanctioning bodies. This decentralization allows for a variety of unethical practices, including fight fixing, questionable scoring, and manipulation of rankings, which have a long history in both professional and amateur boxing. Okay, now some key areas of corruption in the sport: judging and refereeing. Now, subjective scoring systems make it easier to manipulate results. Major scandals have been exposed, such as a report finding corruption, bribery, and the manipulation of scoring results at the Rio 2016 Olympics, where judges used signals to fix fights, and promoters covering judges' expenses is another source of potential bias. Okay? Sanctioning bodies and promoters. Yeah, we're just going to talk about them briefly now, but we're going to get on them later a lot. Sanctioning bodies and promoters. Now, the existence of multiple sanctioning bodies, WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, etc., those are the four main ones. The existence of all these different sanctioning bodies creates the system ripe for self-interest and profit maximization. Ranking manipulation. Sanctioning bodies are accused of playing with rankings and squeezing fighters after not following their own rules. Historically, officials have even been found guilty of accepting bribes for better rankings. The Ballfather admitted he did that back in the 90s, accepting bribes for better rankings. Matchmaking. Promoters often negotiate fights based on self-interest rather than creating the most competitive matchups, leading to multiple champions who never fight each other. Financial incentives. Compared to many other sports, boxer paydays are often tied to specific outcomes, making it easier to bribe an individual fighter or a couple of judges rather than an entire team. Now, the potential for large sums of money in gambling provides further incentive for corruption. Provides further incentive. Organized crime involvement. Historically, organized crime figures like Frankie Carbo and Frank Blinky Palermo heavily influenced boxing, arranging fixed fights and controlling top heavyweights. While direct market control may be less overt now, a lack of transparency and an old boys club mentality still persists to this day. Now, the reform efforts, okay, the pervasive issues have led to calls for change, Now, the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, expelled the former amateur boxing governing body, AIBA, or the Amateur International Boxing Association, now called the IBA, International Boxing Association. They got expelled by the International Olympic Committee due to long-standing concerns over governance, finance, and integrity. Now, a new organization, World Boxing, was formed as a breakaway to seek Olympic recognition and implement stricter anti-corruption policies, including a zero-tolerance stance on bribes and transparent reporting techniques. And the World Boxing, I think Triple G just became the president of that like a week or so ago. Gennady Golovkin. And finally, professional boxers have also spoken out, with some like Terrence Crawford taking aim at corruption and proposing a union to give fighters more collective power and ensure fair pay. Yeah, but that's probably not going to go anywhere. Now let's talk about some controversial fights first. That'll be the first thing we do. We're going to talk about some controversial fights now in the sport, okay? Yeah. There we go. That's where we're starting at. Okay. That's Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez there. Okay. Let me refresh this thing. Okay, controversial fights we're going to start out with. You better hit the like, subscribe, please. Help a brother out. Yeah. Some controversial fights to start out with. All right. Yeah, some of the most controversial fights in boxing history is first. Okay, I don't need this light. Okay, let's get ready to get started with this. Yeah, we're going to talk about some controversial fights now. Corruption and controversy today in boxing. A few different categories. There we go. Yeah, that fight of the day was a doozy. Yeah, all hell broke loose in there. In that ring. Here we go. Let's get started. Now, some of the most controversial fights in boxing history. Okay. Has any sport ever had more controversial endings than boxing? Today's list is not about bad decisions. It's about possible fixes, conspiracy theories, and bad stoppages by possibly corrupt judges, okay? Like I say, not bad decisions. It's about corruption. Primo Carnera versus Jack Sharkey is first. There they are, Primo Carnera and Jack Sharkey. That's Big Primo on the right there. Cameron Terrell, salute Cameron. How are you today? Controversy and corruption, Cameron. We get ready to talk about some controversial and possibly corrupt fights right now, starting out. Salute Cameron Terrell in the building. Okay. Primo Carnera versus Jack Sharkey. All right. Bring this thing a little closer to me. There we go. All right. There we go. Yeah. Two factors made Sharkey and Carnera's second fight an extremely contentious event. First, it was well established by this point that Primo Carnera was potentially subject to mob influence, making many of his wins dubious at best. Second, Sharkey, an excellent boxer, renowned for victories against the likes of Johnny Risco, Tommy Loughran, and Harry Wills, had already defeated Carnera by an overwhelming margin in 1931, dominating him over 15 rounds before coming close several times to forcing a stoppage of the fight. Okay, had already beat him, dominated him before. Still, Betting odds were strangely close for their second fight, according to reports from some quarters. Canero was seen as the favorite. Sharkey had the advantage throughout the fight until round 6, when Canero hit him with an uppercut that sent him sprawling on the floor and counted out, an outcome widely seen as suspicious from day one and further investigated as time passed and became known about corruption behind Canero's career. Even so, Sharkey maintained until his last breath that this fight is taking place on an even playing field. Yet, it remains one of his title fight controversies that remains to this day. Okay? Lulu Perez versus Willie Pep. Lulu Perez versus Willie Pep. It is Perez and Willie Pep right there. That's Willie Pep on the mat, okay? Controversial fights right now. Lulu Perez versus the will-o'-the-wisp, Willie Pep. Pep was decked 3 times in round 2, forcing an automatic stoppage and prompting widespread outrage at the arena. The State Athletic Commission immediately suspended the former champion, but the most naive were aware, even the most naive were aware that something wasn't right. Although Pep insisted he never intentionally lost the fight, his 1980 libel suit against a journalist who strongly implied otherwise was dismissed after just 15 minutes of deliberation by a jury. The truth is, a lot of bookies stopped taking bets on the fight before it started because something was fishy. And Pep was considered one of the greatest boxers of all time. Got knocked down 3 times. Okay? Billy Fox versus Jake LaMotta. There's Billy and Jake. Jake on the right there. Billy Fox and Jake LaMotta. Now, word had leaked out that something less than on the level was up in the works with betting odds, reflecting this perception. Talk of illegal activity became so loud that before fight time, the chair of the New York State Athletic Commission visited both boxers' dressing rooms twice to dissuade any misdeeds during the fight, right? Fox became the first boxer to stop Jake LaMotta when, after 4 rounds of desperate-looking bronze bull action, referee Roberto Diaz saved him, leading to a widespread criticism and suspension of LaMotta's boxing license and speculation over corruption in boxing. Years later, LaMotta publicly admitted he intentionally lost to Fox under oath to Congress so as to get an opportunity at the world middleweight title fight that had so long eluded him. Yeah, Jake admitted that he threw that fight. Louis Resto versus Billy Collins Jr. This was a bad one here. Yeah, this was bad. There's Resto and Collins. There's Resto on the right. This one was pretty bad. Louis Resto provided one of the most disturbing and tragic episodes in boxing history when he battered prospect Billy Collins Jr. for 10 rounds at Madison Square Garden with what can only be described as brass knuckle strikes from both fists. Although Resto only had 8 knockouts out of 19 wins and was not considered a dangerous puncher, Resto's blows left marks and welts all over Collins' face from round 2 forward. Now, Billy Collins Sr. who trained his son, knew something was amiss with Resto's gloves after seeing this happening. So immediately after the fight, he summoned attention from ringside officials for inspection of Resto's gloves, okay, after the final bell. Yeah, Billy Collins' father and trainer said, take a look at this man's gloves. After inspecting his gloves, inspectors discovered that much of the horsehair padding had been stripped out, leading to decades of regret from Resto, who claimed his hand wraps had also been saturated with plaster. Collins experienced such a brutal beating that his face was barely recognizable after the fight, while damage to his eyes meant an instant end to his boxing career. Both Resto and his trainer, Panama Lewis, faced criminal charges and eventually had their licenses suspended, and they both served jail sentences too. And not too long after that, Collins was killed in a car accident. He had all kinds of mental problems and everything after that fight. Tom Sharkey versus Bob Fitzsimmons. Sharkey versus Fitzsimmons. There's Sharkey and Fitzsimmons. This much-awaited heavyweight showdown attracted national interest and strong ticket sales in San Francisco, yet ended with widespread displeasure over its final outcome. According to reports on the street, Wyatt Earp would serve as referee. However, there were rumors Sharkey and his team had paid him off to act in his favor as referee. Fitzsimmons' manager demanded Earp be replaced, but was denied, and later saw their suspicions confirmed when their fighter lost almost certain victory at Sharkey's hands. Okay? Oh my goodness. Bear with me for 1 second, please. Okay, we back on in 1 second. Yeah, Earp was, it was, he clearly was paid. Clearly was paid. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? Okay, here we are. Your Earp was clearly paid off. Listen to this. Okay. Eyewitness accounts indicate that Fitzsimmons was far superior throughout the fight. In round 8, his attacks brought Tom Sharkey crashing to the floor. So Earp determined an illegal punch had hit Sharkey in the groin, disqualifying Fitzsimmons and declaring Sharkey the winner. Following this turn of events, Earp hastened out of the arena with such a furor that plagued him until his death and overshadowed all his gunfighting exploits for decades to come. He was paid off. Joe Gans versus Terry McGovern. Gans versus McGovern. That's Joe Gans on the mat there. Chicago was the site of this meeting of all-time greats, with both fighters in their respective primes. If ever a matchup should have resulted in an exciting and highly competitive fight, this was it. Despite the fact lightweight Gans enjoyed a natural size and weight advantage over featherweight McGovern. But such was not the case. Instead, Gans was decked 7 times before being counted out in the second round, with fans booing the obvious fix even before it ended. The widespread word on the street was that the fight was not on the level, and virtually no one regarded the result as legit. And Gans versus McGovern proved to be not just a controversial fight, but a most consequential one, as it led to the Illinois bar and professional prize fighting for almost 30 years because of this fight. Julio Cesar Chavez and Meldrick Taylor. Chavez and Taylor. Here's Chavez and Taylor battling it out. Mike Mazik. What's up, Mike? Controversy and corruption today. We're just looking at some fights right now, Mike. Some controversial fights. Got a couple more. We're going to look at some controversial fighters. But salute, Mike Mazik. How are you today? Yeah, everybody know about this one. Julio Cesar Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor. Meldrick Taylor held a clear points advantage against Julio Cesar Chavez as they battled for the unified 140-pound championship when the bell rang for their final round matchup. With seconds left in the fight, Chavez connected with a big right hand that resulted in the fight's only knockdown. Now Taylor rose at the count of 6, while Lou Duva, his trainer, climbed onto the ring apron as the clock continued ticking toward its conclusion. And the clock neared the end of the fight. This fight was one of the best boxing matches of the 1990s. Okay? So, two seconds left in the fight. Referee Richard Steele makes his controversial call. However, while distracted by Lou Duva, distracted by his trainer Lou Duva, Taylor failed to respond when referee Richard Steele asked, "Are you okay?" with just 2 seconds remaining on the clock, leading Steele to stop the fight immediately, sparking shockwaves across boxing that is yet to subside completely to this day, right? Now, many remain divided about it, while others believe Steele just did his job, and others insisted Taylor should have been allowed to continue for the final 2 seconds, okay? Yeah, this fight is still debated to this day, nearly 30 years later. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hilton Center of the Las
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, too.
Center of the Las Vegas
Goodness.
Center of
Shut
the
up.
Las Vegas Hilton Hotel, where tonight Don King Productions and Main Event Spotted.
I hit the button for the thing to start talking. My bad. Well, it's Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran, too. Okay, Leonard Duran 2. Okay, here we go. Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran 2. There's Leonard taunting Duran in the second fight, like Duran taunted Leonard in the first fight. Okay, let's talk about this one. We only got a couple more controversial fights. In June of 1980, in one of boxing's most eagerly anticipated fights, former lightweight champion Roberto Duran, known as Manos de Piedra, the Hands of Stone, beat former welterweight champion Sugar Ray Leonard in an intense 15-round war known as the Brawl in Montreal. Duran became universally revered. Sugar Ray demanded an immediate rematch, and 5 months later at the New Orleans Superdome, Leonard had taken control of the fight. At round 8, Duran abruptly turned his back and refused to continue the fight. Okay? Yeah. Duran said no mas. At the time, many were shocked and in disbelief when Roberto Duran, one of Latin America's fiercest fighters, abruptly quit. So shocking was this result that many refused to believe the fight was truly over. Duran blamed debilitating stomach cramps, which only added fuel for further speculation and anger from former fans back home in Panama. His decision transformed his image and standing, as well as boxing itself, giving detractors new ammunition against his no-mas holds even greater significance than ever, still to this day. But he made a good comeback because he became champion again. That was before the Four Kings. And of course, Gene Tunney and Jack Dempsey, the long count fight. Gene Tunney, Jack Dempsey, the long count fight. 2. Now, Dempsey fought Louis Firpo in 1923 and knocked him down 7 times during the first 3 minutes. Each time the referee's counting, Dempsey is standing right there by Firpo because they didn't have the neutral corner rule then. So fast forward to this fight in 1927 between Dempsey and Tunney. They had the neutral corner rule. The rules had changed by the time Dempsey fought Tunney in 1927. When fighters scored knockdowns, they were required to immediately. But if the fighter didn't immediately, okay, and they said Tunney was on the mat for like 16 seconds because Dempsey didn't immediately go to the corner. He was likely confused because that was the first, he hadn't fought in like 3 years, and that was the first fight, neutral corner fight he was in that was using that rule because it wasn't in every state. And so the referee stopped counting, and the timekeeper said he was at 5 when the referee finally started counting, and the referee started at 1. So the timekeeper said he went back to 1, but he had a couple of stopwatches on his desk. And he said when the referee got to started counting, he was counting real slow. And the timekeeper said by the time the referee actually got to 10, his original stop clock that he originally started counting on was at 16. Look at the long count fight. They still argue about that one to this day too. Now, Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston, 2. Ali Liston, 2. Another doozy. Now, some people say Liston went down so fast because they were worried about Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali were on the outs, and said Sonny was worried about somebody's going to try to assassinate Ali. He didn't want to catch those stray bullets. So he went on down. In contrast, others felt the fight must be fixed despite their apparent flaws. While some believe Liston, an ex-con and suspected former mob enforcer, deliberately lost both fights against Ali, no concrete evidence has ever emerged to corroborate this theory. At its core, it will go down as one of the most bizarre fights ever staged in prize ring history. Okay, so now let's look at some controversial fighters now. That was fights, some controversial fighters now, okay? So the most controversial fighters in boxing history. Okay, and there's the first one, Chris Nassim Hamed. First of our controversial fighters, the Prince. Wow, it's 3 o'clock already. Chris Nassim Hamed. Now, boxing is the home of controversy. It can be boxers, trainers, promoters, referees, judges, you name it. And it's controversial in boxing. So this is a list. This is a hard list to make with so many candidates. Now, the criteria for this list is controversial, and that could take on many different meanings. It could be that the fighter was dirty or colorful, or maybe the fighter made many controversial decisions. The fighter may have done things outside of the ring that affected the way the public viewed him. Better yet, what if a fighter covered a few of these things all at once? Prince Nassim Hamed is first. These are controversial fighters. We're going to get to the judges and referees later. Prince Nassim Hamed. As is often the case with controversial fighters, Nassim Hamed generated highly divergent opinions. Some saw him as an all-time great. For others, he was an unbearable showboat and fraud exposed by Marco Antonio Barrera, right? Yeah, Barrera really did expose him. Hamed was an impressive boxing player in his own right, an agile and explosive puncher who displayed skills no one else had witnessed, making him one of the top boxing stars during the 1990s. Yeah, Andrew Galata, remember, he was in the fight of the day with Riddick Bowe. There's Riddick. Andrew Galata makes it, okay? The foul pole was a supremely talented heavyweight who was his own worst enemy. He dominated Riddick Bowe twice, but found his way to 2 losses. He froze against Lennox Lewis and beat Michael Grant, but imploded at the end of the fight, once again coming up short, and looked scared and intimidated by Mike Tyson. Galata was known for biting fighters when things were tough, and of course, he was the king of low blows. If only he had a brain, Galata might have been the heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah. Edwin Valero. Very controversial fighter, Edwin Valero. Valero was undefeated at the time of his death, and it knocked everybody out he had faced. The talent could not erase his demons, and Valero was arrested for assault on multiple occasions and eventually admitted to murdering his wife. While in jail for the murder, he hanged himself. Some people think Valero was a highly overrated fighter. His best win was over Antonio DeMarco, so the competition was at a solid level. But to think that Valero was heading towards greatness seems like a significant overreach. Valero ended his career undefeated, mainly because he died at a young age. So Valero ended his career with a 0 at the end of his record. And so where does Valero rank among fighters who finished their careers undefeated? Good question. But yeah, they was talking about him in a Pacquiao fight eventually, but never happened. Abe Attell. He was called a very dirty fighter, Abe Attell. What, back around the 20s, around in there. Abe Attell. Attell was an undisputed champion who knocked out more than 50 opponents during his career. But along the way, he developed a relationship with Arnold Rothstein, an influential organized crime figure, leading him to be involved with one of the largest sports scandals of the 20th century, the 1919 Black Sox scandal. Baseball team. This was after his boxing career. Now, Attell was charged alongside various White Sox players of conspiring with players to throw the World Series. Make no mistake, Abe was an all-time great fighter, but outside of the ring, overshadowed inside the ring. Yeah. We're back. Sorry about that. It hadn't happened in a while. I think it's something I did. Yeah, Primo Carnera. Yeah, I think that was a mistake I made. Yeah, I was having trouble getting it to move, and yeah, that's where we want to be, right there. Yeah, there we go. There's Primo. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was something I did. Okay, let me get the chat back up so we can continue. Okay, bear with me for a second. I can't see the chat. Got to be able to see the chat. That's the main part of the show. Not connected. Oh my goodness. Yeah, here we go. I know what I got to do. Bear with me, please. I'm sorry. Technical difficulty, but we're going to be back in 1 moment. Got to be able to see the chat, you know? Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're back. Yeah. Christmas, man. No, we're not. Here we are. Okay. No, we're not. Oh, shoot. Okay. Primo Carnera. Sorry for the interruption. Talking about some controversial fighters now. Okay. That's all. Primo. Okay, here we go. Primo. Nat Fleischer, in his book, The Heavyweight Champion, mentions only that Jack Sharkey's corner had complained of loaded gloves after their fighter was counted out in the 6th round after having led on the cards. Fleischer was one of the premier boxing writers of his era, yet he would be reluctant to make blanket accusations of fraud without extensive evidence. He was also the founder of Ring Magazine. However, he did note unscrupulous handlers quickly exploited Carnera. As Carnera would later suffer embarrassing losses against Max Baer and Joe Louis, his victory against Sharkey must count as one of the most spectacular upsets ever witnessed within this division, at the minimum. Okay? And then Jake again. There's Jake. Remember, he was involved in the throne fight. That's what made him so controversial. We're going to go past him. We talked about him. Ike Iwabuchi. He ended up going to prison. Ike did. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's Ike. Oh, that's Jake. There's Ike right there. Okay. Ike Iwabuchi. Now, before his career came tumbling to an end, his life devolved into chaos. There was much money to be made off Iwabuchi as a fighter, and his ultimate conviction indicates how desperately people tried to market him throughout his career. Iwabuchi was one of the most exciting heavyweights of the last 30 years. His 12-round war with David Tua set the record for punches thrown during a heavyweight fight. Fan interest was so great following that victory that people around him were more than willing to overlook the clear signs of insanity when he displayed them. even after kidnapping one of his girlfriend's 15-year-old sons and fleeing police authorities. Promoters continued offering fights for him. After assaulting another woman at a Las Vegas hotel in 1999, he was finally sentenced to prison, ending his career at 20-0 with 15 knockouts. I think he was planning on fighting again, fought recently or something. Ike did. Jack Johnson. There's Jack Johnson. Talking about some controversial figures. Got a couple more. Jack Johnson was the first black man to hold a world heavyweight championship. And because of that, today, in a politically correct world, Johnson has been raised up as a hero. His violation of the Mann Act is often cited as Johnson being persecuted because of racism. The fact is overlooked that he did the crime, right? He did commit the crime. And yes, many white men were arrested for the same crime back then. Now, the truth is that Johnson was a vile human being. Well, after his death, Jack Johnson was pardoned by Donald Trump. And Jack Johnson probably did not deserve that pardon. Okay? Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson. Just talking about some controversial figures in boxing. Okay. BBO, what's up, BBO? I can't get the chat to work right. But BBO Sports TV coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Salute. I'm going to fix that after I do these last two. Mike Tyson is next to the last one for the controversial fighters. Next, we're going to talk about some referees, some very controversial referees. Yeah, that's going to be good. Stick around for that. What's it? Oh, okay. It's going to be the. I'm going to jump to the referees because that is good. Then we'll come back to the decisions. Okay. But Mike Tyson was frightening. He first made an impactful debut as a teenager, just a few years after leaving juvenile detention, only for his fame to quickly dissipate as soon as he reached his early 20s. Soon after losing to Buster Douglas in an upset fight in 1990, he was arrested and served 3 years in federal prison for rape charges. Once released in the mid-1990s, he briefly held on to part of the heavyweight title, but could never quite regain his former self. Highlights of his post-prison career include biting Evander Holyfield's ear, trying to break France Botha's arm, and one of the Lennox Lewis's children, Mike Tyson. And finally, Muhammad Ali. Okay? Controversial figure, Muhammad was. Yeah, I went right past Muhammad. There's Muhammad. Nice shot of Muhammad. Now, Ali's decision to join the Nation of Islam during the Civil Rights era only fueled his already controversial persona. At the height of his powers as a fighter, Muhammad Ali made headlines for defying the United States government by refusing to be drafted into the Vietnam conflict that he felt strongly against. He was stripped of all his titles and banned from competing again for this act. Almost 4 years he was out of the ring. He came close to jail time, with his case even reaching the Supreme Court of the United States. By standing against the Vietnam War, Ali became an iconic figure who transcended sports and made an indelible mark on American culture. Muhammad Ali was an iconic figure inside and outside of the ring. Okay? Muhammad Ali. All right, now let's look at these referees. Some controversial referees now. Okay. I don't know why this thing says. Oh, I'm connected now. Okay, good. There we go. Trying to get back in the chat. Come on, phone. There we go. Yes, I'm in. I am in. Yeah, I'm back in here with y'all. Thomas Hill. What's up, T. Hill? Looking at some controversial figures today. We're going to look at some of the worst referees of all time now, okay? Then we're going to jump back to some judging decisions, but I want to do these referees and judges first. Then we'll go back to the decisions, time permitting. Referees now. Okay, let me find the referees. Yeah, here we go. Okay, these are some of the worst referees of all time. Okay. And y'all will agree after y'all hear some of these things. Decisions they made. Just terrible. Just terrible. I need like 30 seconds to get this going. There we go. But how's everybody? It's Tuesday. We're still early in this week of boxing history. The big weekend we was waiting for is past us, but it was some good action in there. Everything went like I thought it would go. Yeah. I came in on the I seen Bam Abdullah, Evan Haney, and Brian Norman in the last fight. I didn't even see the entire last fight. Benavidez and Yard. Okay, let's talk about these terrible referees now. I mean, they are terrible. Here we go. I'm ready. Sorry for the delay. Not judges, referees, man. Oh, boy. Bear with me, please. Christmas. Boy. Oh, yeah, okay, I got it. I'm sorry. I'm messing up. I got it now. Wrong site. It's worth waiting for. This is good. Okay, here we go. Here we go. That's the first one up there on the screen. And salute BBO and Thomas Hill has came into the building. Always supporting. Now, referees have an important role during fights as they help maintain control and order. But there are times referees become larger parts of the story. Referees taking attention away from the fighters is always controversial, okay? Always. While referees receive praise when they step in to prevent a fighter from suffering serious injuries, they place themselves in the line of fire when they are unable to maintain order during fights or make the wrong decisions. It's a delicate balancing act as referees try to avoid making themselves the center of attention or the story. These are some of the reasons why referees that do a poor job are always under the microscope. Okay, first one is Jay Nady. That's Jay up there. Jay Nady. Jay Nady's career is filled with inconsistencies. Jay Nady has a history of poor officiating, such as taking a point from Oleg Maskayev when Asim Rockman was holding during their fight. Nady also, and famously, missed the knockdown on the Juan Manuel Marquez versus Marco Antonio Barrera fight. Jay Nady's officiating was strongly questioned after the Kasha Zhu versus Zab Judah Jr. welterweight title fight. Zhu badly hurt and knocked down Judah at the end of the second round, but Judah quickly went down again. At that point, Nady stopped the fight. Now, critics noted that Nady never gave Judah an official 8 count. Nady also received heavy criticism for allowing Fernando Vargas to fight on against Felix Trinidad when he was barely responsive. Jay Nady that had some bad ones. Carlos Padilla. That's the one that did the sitting there laughing about how he cheated for Pacquiao, because he was from the Philippines too, remember? There you go. And he actually did Ali and Frazier's second fight. Was a good referee, but corrupt. Crush the legend. What's up, Crush? And look at some of these bad referees. Yeah, Jay Nady was a good referee because he was picked to do Ali Frazier too, but he was corrupt. Okay? Remember he told about how he cheated for Manny? Okay, Carlos Padilla. Or Padilla, whatever his name. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, Carlos stained his legacy with favoritism. Carlos Padilla admitted that he gave Manny Pacquiao favorable treatment during his fight against Vidal Hussein, both Filipinos, Carlos and Manny. The incident stained his over 20-year career officiating historic fights. Yeah, he did Ali Frazier too. Great referee, but he was corrupt. One act of corruption ruined the legacy of respected referee Carlos Padilla. He admitted that he helped Manny Pacquiao overcome Vidal Hussein during their thrilling junior featherweight title fight. Hussein stunned Pacquiao with a strong jab in the fourth round, which caused Pacquiao to take a knee. Carlos admitted that he gave Pacquiao almost 20 seconds to recover. When he noticed Pacquiao still wasn't recovered, he admitted that he purposely deducted a point from Hussein to give Pacquiao even more recovery time and tighten the scorecards. And in his final act of corruption, Pacquiao would eventually win the fight by TKO in the 10th round due to a cut near Hussein's eyelid. Carlos ruled that the cut was caused by a punch when it was actually caused by a clash of heads. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, that's when he was telling this story. He actually told the story about how he cheated for Pacquiao, remember? Made a whole tape of it, laughing and everything. Yup. Talking about some bad referees now. Howard Foster. There's Howard in the middle. Foster received death threats because of his officiating. Wow. Howard Foster's reputation was permanently damaged in the Carl Froch versus George Groves fight. Some fight promoters objected when they heard that Foster would be officiating a fight featuring one of them fighters. Howard Foster received nearly unanimous criticism for his work officiating the first super middleweight clash between Carl Froch and George Groves. Groves appeared to be on his way to an upset victory in a great fight until the 9th round. Froch landed a hard combination that sent Groves backwards into the ropes. While Groves may have been hurt, he was still defending himself when Foster separated the fighters and stopped the fight. An angry Groves was confused after the fight, stating that the fight was stopped despite him not being knocked down. Yet, the fight continued after he knocked Froch down. Joe Cortez, some of the worst referees of all time. Joe Cortez. There's Joe and Floyd. He probably just cheated for Floyd or something. But Joe Cortez, okay. And he's in the Hall of Famer, but he had several rough moments. He's a Hall of Fame referee, but he had several rough moments. Joe Cortez gained infamy for disqualifying Humberto Soto for hitting Francesco Lorenzo behind the head when Soto should have won by knockout. Fans often criticized Cortez for trying to be a star like the boxers. Critics of Joe Cortez felt that he was always trying to make himself a part of the action. Cortez was often quick to step in during clinches to prevent inside fighting. One notable example is the Floyd Mayweather versus Ricky Hatton welterweight title fight. Told you. See, that's why Floyd's so lovey-dovey with him right there. Now, during this fight, Cortez constantly prevented Hatton from working inside, which caused controversy. Cortez's officiating in the Marcos Badana versus Amir Khan fight was also highly questionable. Okay? Now, this is Arthur McCanty Jr., because Senior was a great referee. Senior did the Thriller in Manila. Okay? But this is Arthur McCanty Jr. The son was terrible. Okay? Senior was great. Junior was terrible. Senior did the Thriller in Manila, the greatest fight of all time. Arthur McCanty Jr. McCanty Jr. was accused multiple times of inappropriate conduct. Arthur McCanty Jr. encouraged fighters to provide action at all times. McCanty Jr. received major criticism for allowing Yuri Foreman to continue fighting against Miguel Cotto after his team threw in the towel. How you do that? He allowed this man to continue fighting after his team threw in the towel. Arthur McCanty Jr. always wanted to be at the center of the action. Sometimes his antics went over the line, such as the Pernell Whitaker versus this Belly's Hurtado welterweight title fight. In a rare power punching display, Whitaker landed a huge left hand that knocked Hurtado on his feet, off his feet, knocked him out on his feet. However, McCanty Jr. allowed the fight to continue until Hurtado was knocked out of the ring. That man could have got hurt. Roger Tillman. Man was out on his feet and McCanty Jr. let it continue. There's Roger Tillman right there. I think we're going to talk about some judges next. Roger Tillman was considered a disgrace. Okay? Considered a disgrace. Roger Tillman made sure Sven Otke kept his super middleweight title in a clear act of corruption. Yeah, him and Otke were both German. Clear act of corruption. Tillman's actions also damaged the credibility of Otke as a world champion. There were rumors that German boxing could be corrupt at times. Roger Tillman seemingly confirmed those rumors with his actions in the Sven Otke versus Robin Reed super middleweight title fight. Reed dropped Otke with a straight right hand, but Tillman ruled the knockdown a slip in order to protect Otke. Since that the undefeated unified super middleweight champion was down on the scorecards, Tillman deducted a point from Reed for headbutts that never happened. Otke would go on to retain his titles on points while the boxing community was outraged. That was terrible. Tony Perez. Tony Perez. There's Tony. It is Tony Perez. Perez sued Muhammad Ali for defamation. Mm-hmm. Now, I think he did one. Ali Frazier won. Now, the referees that did all 3 Ali Frazier fights are on this list. Wow. Tony Perez received constant criticism for his inconsistencies in deducting points. Muhammad Ali criticized Perez multiple times. Tony Perez first received criticism while official. Oh, he did 2. Mercante did. Senior did 3. Yeah, Tillman did 1. Perez did 1. Tony Perez first received criticism while officiating the rematch between Muhammad Ali. He did 2, excuse me. Officiating the rematch between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Both fighters were upset, believing the round was. Both fighters were upset. Thing wouldn't move. There we go. Yeah, both Ali and Frazier criticized him multiple times. Okay. Now, both fighters were upset because Perez stepped in. Ali was upset because Perez was upset because Perez stepped in when he had Frazier badly hurt. And guess why he stepped in? He wrongly believed the round was over. And the round wasn't even over. And the referee stepped in early and stopped the round. Ali had Frazier in trouble. Frazier was upset that Perez never warned Ali about holding. Okay? Ali criticized him viciously. Perez would later admit that he would have disqualified Ali for constant holding. That he could have disqualified Ali for constant holding. Ali would eventually launch personal attacks on Perez, which led to a lawsuit. Perez sued Ali. I don't know what came of it. Perez would also develop a reputation for letting fighters take unnecessary punishment, such as what happened to Tommy Morrison in the Ray Mercer fight. Ian John Lewis. Okay. Ian John Lewis was forced to take time off. He was so bad. They made him take some time off. Okay. Ian John Lewis never knows when to step in, it seems. He's been criticized for stopping fights too early and criticized for stopping fights too late. One of the worst cases of the latter involved Shannon Briggs taking a severe beating from Vitaly Klitschko. Briggs sustained serious facial injuries, including a broken nose and orbital bone. Many believe Lewis should have stepped in by the 10th round. The man wouldn't have suffered as much damage as he did. Okay, Lawrence Cole, a couple more of the terrible referees. Lawrence Cole was called out for his conflict of interest. Okay. Lawrence Cole was suspended after telling Juan Manuel Marquez he could quit and still win the fight on points during his fight against Jim Rex Jocka. Cole was demoted after his officiating in the Orlando Salido versus Vasil Lomachenko fight. Cole missed several low blows by Salido. Lawrence Cole has been criticized for nearly every possible error that a referee can make. Not scoring knockdowns, not penalizing dirty fighters, handling breaks in the action the wrong way, among others. Every infraction a referee can possibly make, Lawrence Cole been criticized for almost all of them. Okay? Wow. Why did they let him keep refereeing? That's my question. If he was that bad, he should have been on the sidelines, you know? Wow. Just about every infraction a referee can possibly make. He done almost did it, right? But yet he was still refereeing. So I don't understand that. I just had like one more. Let's finish this off. Okay, let's finish this off. Where were we? Lawrence Cole. Sorry, but I only had one more. And this was I wanted to read this because this was a terrible one here. He belongs at number one, belongs number one too. And we're gonna look at some of these terrible judges. Okay. Yeah, terrible, man. I got a picture of one judge sitting at the ring apron, female judge, on the telephone. Oh, yeah, and I got the scores that round, the Lady Adelaide Bird one we was talking about. In the 5th round of the Holyfield Lennox Lewis fight, where they called it a draw, Lennox Lewis really won. In the 5th round, Lennox Lewis outlanded Holyfield 43 punches to 11, and this lady gave it around to Holyfield. Okay, that's like 1 punch away from 4-1, and she gave it around to Holyfield. Lennox Lewis had 43 punches. Holyfield had 11. Right. So what was she doing? People wonder, was she even at the apron doing that round, or was she getting refreshments or something? Okay, yeah. 2 more. These are the worst 2 here. No, this is it. Number 1, Russell Mora, worst referee ever. Russell Mora. There's Russell and Canelo. Russell Mora. Russell Mora's mistakes are infamous and endless. Mora was nearly banned after his officiating in the Abner Murray's versus Joseph Agbiko fight. He was almost banned. Mora also received criticism for allowing Fernand Montiel to fight on against Nonito Donaire, despite Montiel nearly having a seizure on the canvas. And he let this man, almost had a seizure, he let this man get up and continue to fight. Right? He should have been banned. Wow. Often criticized for his mistakes, Russell Mora became a discussion point about what's wrong with the sport after allowing Abner Murray's to constantly low blow Joseph Agbiko in their bantamweight title fight. Mora warned Murray's over He warned Murray's over 5 times for the low blows, but never deducted a point. 5 warnings, you should have had at least 2 points should have been taken. I mean 3, because after 2 warnings, start taking points. Right? Warned him 5 times, never took a point from him. Right? Mora even counted a knockdown for Murray's when Agbiko clearly went down due to a low blow. There were several calls through the boxing community for Mora to be banned after this performance, but he got away with it. He wasn't banned. I think he's gone now, hopefully. Yeah, because this was back, Abner Murray's Joseph Agbiko. But that wasn't that really that far back, so he might. I don't think Russell Murray's still referee. I hope not. But, okay, I want to look at these judges right quick, because this is bad. They should have been in front of the referees. Damn. Ranking the. Okay, these is after. Most infamous boxing judges known for horrible scorecards, okay? I mean, horrible scorecards. Okay. Yeah. Let's get this going. Very quick. need 1 minute. Oh my goodness. But how's everybody? It's still Tuesday. We're still early in this week. We're going to look at some cruiserweights for the Profile Friday. Okay. Yeah, I think the, yeah. I hope this is it. I think so. Yeah. Okay, these judges here. They're something else. One judge is on the phone. I think she's on the phone or she's playing with an earring or something. Okay, the first one. Where were we? Russell Moore. Yeah, here she go. Is she on the telephone? Or she just playing with an earring or something? Anyway, she's not watching the action. Maybe it's between rounds. I think she's just playing with an earring or something. I don't know. But anyway, she is now boxing judges have been criticized since the beginning of the sport. While knockouts help increase ratings and viewership, boxing earned the Sweet Science nickname due to the art form of boxers being able to earn points with clean, effective punches and good defense. Boxing judges are tasked with rewarding points to fighters who show these skills. Okay? However, that's when things get tricky, as every judge is unique. Each judge may look at fights differently and have their own interpretation of what wins fights. As a result, some judges have come under fire for their perceived inability to score fights the correct way. That's CJ Ross right there. Yeah, that's CJ Ross. Playing with an earring or something. CJ Ross was forced to step down due to her questionable scorecards. Yeah, she got fired. She was forced to stop judging. Okay? CJ Ross was universally criticized for her scoring of the Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez fight. That's the one, remember? She's the one that called it a draw, right? Ross's ability to judge fights was also questioned after the first Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley fight. Those were two terrible ones. She gave Tim Bradley the fight against Pacquiao, and she also called it a draw for Canelo against Floyd. Remember that? And after the Floyd-Canelo fight, she never judged another fight. They said, you got to go. You got to go. She must have been liking Canelo or something. Had a crush on it. Had a crush on Cinnamon. Okay. CJ Ross spent more than 20 years as a boxing judge before stepping down amid controversy. Many of Ross's scorecards were debatable over the years, but things suddenly reached a breaking point. Ross was widely panned for scoring Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez a draw. The other two judges scored the fight 117-111 and 116-112 for Mayweather, in a fight that some argued was Mayweather's best performance in a while. Even Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya admitted that he lost. Yeah, Oscar was promoting him, remember? Even they admitted he lost. Ross was already under fire for scoring the first Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley fight, 115-113 for Bradley. When they announced the decision, Tim Bradley, I thought he said, I could have sworn he said, what, me? Tim Bradley's wife even told him he didn't win. No, I made that up, that part. But yeah, Tim Bradley clearly didn't win that fight. And this lady was already under fire for that one. And then she did the Floyd Canelo one. That was her last fight. They said, nah, no more. No more. I don't know what you're doing. Either you corrupt or don't know what you're doing. Either way, you got to go. You corrupt or don't know what you're doing. Either way, There's the door right over there. Don't let that doorknob hit you. Okay? Yeah, she was already under fire. Pacquiao appeared to be the clear winner of the fight. Many boxing observers felt Ross's scoring started to fall off after she scored the IBF bantamweight title fight between Abner Maris and Joseph Agbiko, a draw, when the other two judges had Maris winning by a couple of rounds. Yeah. So in that picture right there, I bet you the round going on, and she's sitting there playing with a earring or something. Look, I guarantee you they in there fighting. She ain't even looking. Somebody could land 3 or 4 punches while she's sitting there playing with her earrings or whatever she's doing. But yeah, they got her up out of there. Tim Cheatham. He should have never even been allowed to be a judge with that name, man. Or any kind of referee in any sport. Tim Cheatham. No. They should have disqualified him right there, his name. Tim Cheatham. Name of a judge. Last name Cheatham. Come on, man. Once they saw his application, he should have just changed his. I wouldn't even apply for a judge. My name Cheatham. I would say, just put Ham. Drop the cheat part. My last name is Ham. Ham. Tim Cheatham. Yeah. Tim Cheatham. There's Tim. Now, Tim Cheatham has been referred to as a corrupt judge multiple times. I agree. Just look at his name. Tim Cheatham has received criticism for his inconsistent scoring. In some fights, Cheatham appears to favor boxers, while in other fights, he'll reward aggression. Well, it's a fight-by-fight basis, you know. Is it effective aggression? Sometimes it's not effective, right? So sometimes you can award the aggression if it's effective. Are you coming forward, landing punches, not getting counted? Oh, that's effective aggression. But you coming forward, getting tattooed every step you take, that's not effective. Many observers believe that it's hard to pinpoint exactly what type of judge Tim Cheatham is. Cheatham was criticized for scoring of the Richardson Hitchens versus Gustavo Lemos fight. The majority of the boxing media felt Lemos won the fight with his activity while landing the harder punches. Yeah, I was worried when that went to the cards too. I was worried. You couldn't have been mad if they would have gave it to Lemos, but yeah. Yet, get this. Cheatham scored the fight 117-111 for Hitchens. Now, if Hitchens won, it wasn't about no 117-111. No, that was too wide. And that even shocked Hitchens' promoter, Eddie Hearn, right? For it shocked her, Eddie, it was shocking. Cheatham scored the Tim Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora fight, 116-112 for Tszyu, which was panned as Fundora got the better of most exchanges with Tszyu and battered Tszyu at different points in the fight. And this Tim Cheatham still judging. Tim is still cheating him. Mm-hmm. Cheatham was also called out for scoring in the controversial Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko fight. Cheatham scored the fight 115-113 for Haney, which many observers saying Lomachenko was outright robbed. Yeah, Tim did that one. Tim's still judging right now to this day. Still cheating him. Tim's still cheating him. Glenn Feldman. Judge Glenn Feldman. That's not Jim. Oh, there's Jim. I don't know what that's doing in there. Devin and Brian Norman. That was yesterday. Al Booger. What's up, Al Booger? We talking about some corruption today. Tim Cheatham. Al Booger. They should have disqualified him when first seen his name. Tim Cheatham. No, you can't be no judge or referee in no sport. Look at your name, man. Tim Cheatham. But he's still refereeing to this day. Judging. And the lady, C.J. Ross, after she did that Floyd Canelo fight, called it a draw, she was banned. She got fired. They showed her the door because she was one of them ones that gave the first Manny Tim Bradley fight to Tim Bradley. You know? So she was already under fire for that. Then she gave Canelo a draw. She had a crush on Canelo. Mm-hmm. So she gave him the fight. Glenn Feldman. There's been public outcry for Feldman to be investigated. Wow. Public outcry for him to be investigated. Let's see what he did, man. What did you do, Glenn? That's Glenn up there. Yeah, that's Glenn. Now, Glenn Feldman has been one of boxing's most controversial judges for years. Feldman sued Jake Paul in an effort to protect his reputation. Glenn Feldman has been one of boxing's most questionable judges for well over a decade. Feldman's scoring has once again been under scrutiny in recent years. Feldman was called out for his judging of some of Manny Pacquiao's fights. Feldman scored Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman, 114-113 for Thurman, and Pacquiao versus Broner, 116-112 for Broner. He don't like Manny, seems like, Glenn. Yeah. He gave it to Thurman and Broner. I think Manny clearly won both of them. Both of those fights were considered clear Pacquiao wins. Feldman was criticized for scoring the second heavyweight title fight between Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk, 115-113 for Joshua. A close fight, but one most observers felt Usyk won. And Feldman still judging to this day. Y'all hear his name, and the judge is so-and-so, and Glenn Feldman. But you're not going to hear C.J. Ross' name no more when they talk about judges. They showed her the door. Then there's Feldman scoring up the first Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight. 97-93 for Taylor. Yeah, get him out of here, man. Which Angus Serrano's promoted Jake Paul so much that he accused Feldman of taking bribes. Yeah, I agree, Jake. This led to Feldman suing Paul for defamation. Ali got sued by the judge too, remember? I think it was Tony. Who was it? Tony Perez? Yeah. Tony Perez in the Ali Frazier fight, remember? Ali had Frazier hurt. And Perez stepped in and separated him in the round, and the round wasn't even over yet. They were both pissed off at Perez because Frazier was mad because he kept letting Ali hold. And after the fight, Perez said Ali did do enough holding where he could have disqualified. Why you say something like that for, man? You didn't do it, so let it go, right? That was crazy. Nelson Vasquez. Boxers have publicly called for Nelson Vasquez to have his judging license revoked. Wow, boxers have called for that. Nelson Vasquez's broad scorecards have caused some controversy. Both fighters and boxing reporters have called for Vasquez to have his license revoked to help protect the integrity of the sport. Yeah, the fighters start calling for it. It's time. You got to go. Yeah, you got to go. I think. The Nelson Vasquez's scoring of the Richardson Hitchens versus Liam Parrow fight was regarded as one of the worst judging performances in recent memory. Still judging to this day, too. That was what, last year? Hitchens and Parrow, yeah. Hitchens simply outboxed Paris en route to winning a clear decision. Yet, get this. Vasquez scored the fight 117-111 for Parrow. Yeah, that's corruption. Ain't no judge that bad. Right? 6 points for Parrow. That's why judges should have a post-fight press conference too. And one of the officials or somebody's promotion or the sanctioning body should sit there and say, now explain the scorecard. How the hell you get this fight to Parrow by 6 points? Show me the rounds. But the judges take them bribes and get their envelope and leave on out the building. Don't have to answer to nobody. 117-111 for Parrow. Now, Slick Shakur Stevenson was among the most vocal critics, calling for Vasquez to have his license revoked immediately. I think I remember Shakur saying that after that fight. Now, Vasquez also received heavy criticism for scoring the first junior middleweight title fight between Brian Castano and Jermell Charlo. 117-111 for Charlo. No, Jamal didn't win by that much. Mel didn't. Nah, that was wrong too. Which was considered way too wide of a decision for Charlo in a fight where there were multiple moments that Charlo struggled. I agree with the draw. Oh, here we go. Number one, worst judge of all time. They got judges 30 years in the future. She's still the worse than them already. The incomparable. Adelaide Byrd. There she go. Adelaide Byrd. Adelaide Byrd is considered one of the worst judges ever. That's the one where Lennox Lewis Holyfield won the draw. The fifth round, Lennox Lewis had 43 punches landed to Holyfield's 11, and she gave the round to Holyfield. They was like, Miss Byrd, were you even at ringside for that round? Were you even out there? Wow. And she is considered one of the worst judges ever. Even among people that haven't even been born yet going to be judges later on in the future. She's still worse than them already. That's how bad she is. And her husband is a referee, Robert Byrd. You know, the old black referee with the gray hair. Yeah, that's her husband. He ain't all that neither, to be honest with you. Adelaide Byrd was forced to take time off after her scoring in the Canelo vs. Triple G fight. Byrd has also received heavy criticism as an MMA judge. Wow. She's boxing and MMA. Damn. Yeah. She paying somebody off for something, man. Okay. Boxing and MMA. How'd she do that? Now, Adelaide Byrd's reputation was so poor that once top-ranked promoter Carl Moretti personally contacted the Nevada State Athletic Commission to ask that she not be allowed to judge Vasily Lomachenko's upcoming fight. Now, Byrd judged the fight between tough middleweights Alfredo Angulo and Sergio Mora and awarded the fight to Angulo, which prevented Mora from winning a unanimous decision. Mora was so upset that he confronted Byrd after the fight about her scoring. Yeah, they need to have a press conference for the post-fight press conference for the judges, referee, everybody. But like I say, they get paid off their bribery money and waltz on out the building. Don't have to answer to nobody. Byrd frustrates fighters, promoters, and fans alike. But the breaking point came when Byrd scored the first Canelo Alvarez vs. Triple G fight, 118-110 for Canelo. The scoring was universally criticized, with even Canelo's promoter Oscar De La Hoya saying the Byrd scorecard was inaccurate, and the fight was closer than that. Byrd was forced to take time off, but kept her license, much to the chagrin of basically the entire boxing community. She gone now, though. She didn't get forced out. She just got old or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. She's the worst of them all. Number one. Uno. Mike says she said she left her glasses at home. Yeah. She needed to go back and get them. Because she was bad. But CJ Ross, that's the only one I ever heard about they forced out. CJ Ross was so bad. She was already in hot water because of the Manny and Tim Bradley first fight. Then she called that Floyd Canelo a draw, right? And look at her. She messing with her earrings or something. Or is she on the phone? I can't tell. What is she doing? And the fight probably going on. Look at her. She's not even looking. That's why she can't judge. Is she sleeping? And she's sitting right there at the ring apron. Look. So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but they told her get to stepping. Yeah, we had a couple more things, but we're not going to get them in. We was going to talk about these corrupt sanctioning bodies. That's where the corruption starts at, the sanctioning bodies, you know? In the heavyweight division alone, there's like 10 or 15 titles, maybe more than that, okay, in this one division. How can you have 15 champions in one between each sanctioning body? But the IBF is the only one with one. I think the WBA got 5, the WBC got like 5, the WBO got 3 or 4, and the IBF is the only one with one. That's 14. How can you have 14 champions in one division? But we're going to get to that one day, because that was a very good article about these sanctioning bodies and their corruption. You know, they need to do something. They are the ones that can do something about these judges and referees and all this nonsense. But, you know, they have follow the money. That's it. Follow the money. Wherever the money go, that's where you go. And you will understand exactly what's going on. Yeah. But it's Tuesday, still early in the week. But yeah, that was, I thought we would do something about corruption today. Because boxing has always been corrupt. This didn't just start in 2025. It's always been like this, okay? But we got Just Do Boxing next coming at you with that balanced, unbiased boxing talk. Everybody gets to just do it, Just Do Boxing. My glasses at. Okay, we're gonna get ready to call it a day, but I appreciate everybody for coming through today. Man. Okay, yeah, there it is. I'm gonna do the roll call in a minute, but I'm trying to get down to my studio audience. Oh my goodness. What do I keep doing, man? Okay. Can't find the Earl. Oh, forget it. Oh, I'm down too far. Let's see that one. Oh, there it is right there. I can't believe I couldn't see that. Time for me to make an eye doctor's appointment. There it is. Okay. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed the Curruption show. Because boxing, they used to call back in the day, used to call boxing the red light district of sports. Okay? Okay. Al Booger, Crush the Legend, Thomas Hill, BBO Sports TV, Mike Mazik, Cameron Terrell, Mike Rim, and Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody. Just Do Boxing is coming up next in these streets. This is Cass Sports, the Boxtorian. Appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great afternoon. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all of that boxing history.